Morning, Clem, and everyone. I hope you had a good weekend. We had a bit of an adventure. It snowed, but not tons. 6 inches of snow. Um, Very light and fluffy, quite easy to shovel out of the way, and it's already starting to melt and go away. So not too bad, but just enough to look pretty and but not to interfere with anything. So that was good. What was your weekend like? Hope you had a hope you had a good one. I know you guys in Clem too. You're having it way worse. Somebody wrote us and said it was snowmageddon. So, and we've seen some of the pictures, so we know your weather's been pretty interesting of late, shall we say. We had Monkey's birthday yesterday. We woke up in the morning. There was still a little bit of flurries going on. Let me see if I can remember the order. It was something like there was flurries in the morning that turned to sunshine, which then turned to uh, rain, and then sleet, and then sunshine, and then frozen rain, and then back to sunshine. And I think there's a few other changes in between. And for those of you not from Clement 2, that is jokingly referred to, I don't even know why, it's referred to as a monkey's birthday. Maybe somebody from Clement 2 can explain to me how it got that name, monkey's birthday. But it's when the weather changes a lot and have a lot of different kinds of weather in the course of a day. So anyway, very interesting weather weekend for us, and I know even more so for you and Clem too. And I don't know what's going on everywhere else that people check in. So I remember years ago working for my brother. We worked in this house, a builder. He was a brick mason by trade, but he built houses, and he built a house for his son. And on the outside, it all looked good. Um, it was a big 2-story brick home, as I remember. Well, it was a brick home. But what I remember is when we went to do our work, we were putting in the kitchens and the bathrooms, and I don't remember if we did other custom work for that guy. But when we did it, it was so badly out of level. I mean, really out of level that in like an 8-foot run of kitchen cabinets, we were putting a 2x4 under to level. Now that is just astronomically bad, really bad. Like even in some of the oldest homes we worked in, where the houses had settled quite a bit because they weren't really built on a foundation at all, I don't think we ever ran into anything that bad. This was in a brand new house. And it was the oddest thing. We got everything done. My brother finished up the last of the work. 2 days later, he went back to turn in his bill, if I remember the story right. And the house had been hit by lightning, and the inside of the house burned down and started all over again. But the house remained out of level because the foundation was bad. And there's a saying in the building trade: if the foundation is good, anything else is worth doing. But if the foundation is bad, what can you do? This was a bad foundation. It truly was. Never seen anything like it in a brand new house in my life. It was the craziest thing. Why am I talking to you about foundations? Well, we're in the 10 Commandments that I've been calling God's top 10 list of good behavior. Let's swing over to there and be reminded where we left off. After going through the first 4, which have to do with our relationship with God, we've started on the final 6, which have to do with our relationship with those around us. It starts with honor your father and your mother. And we talked about how critical it is for there to be healthy relationships between parents and children. When this says honor your father and your mother, it looks like it's talking only to children, but it's really not. It's talking to the whole parent-child relationship. And we looked at that. You shall not murder. Interesting. The very first murder recorded in the Bible, in the history of human beings, happened within a family, within one generation. You shall not commit adultery. This is the one we're on today. That's why it's in yellow. You shall not steal, you shall not lie, and you shall not covet. Interestingly, 2.5 of these, honor your father and mother, you shall not commit adultery, and you shall not covet, all have to do directly with family life. Now, the others would also have something to do with family. Obviously, if you're murdering your family members, it's going to cause great harm to a family. If you're stealing, if you're lying, all of those things. But three directly have to do with family. Honor your father and your mother was placed foremost. You shall not commit adultery is the one we're considering today. And the final one that I kind of throw in there is you shall not covet, because it's the one that coveting that leads to the adultery. Because in the things that you're not supposed to covet is you're not supposed to covet your neighbor's wife or your neighbor's husband, depending on what sex that you are. You shall not commit adultery. Foundations. Good marriage is the solid foundation on which a family is built. A good marriage relationship is the foundation. Good families are the foundation that any community or society are built on. We have watched the slow erosion of the family unit in our broader community of North America for generations now. We've been watching it erode and erode, and it's not surprising that our other problems have been rising and rising. In our First Nations communities, when we had the really stupid idea that we would take children from their parents and raise them in institutions, and we began to destroy the family unit, we saw a rise in problems in our First Nations communities. Why? Because families are foundational to building good society, good communities in which to live. And at the heart of that, of course, is the marriage relationship. So like a lot of things in the Ten Commandments, they're said very, very succinctly, shortly. They're quick little sayings, quick little commands. You shall not murder was just 2 words long. I don't know how many words long this one is. I wouldn't imagine it's much longer than 2 words, but I'll have to look that up. I should have looked that up before I got on the air. It's just a few words, but it's meant to cover a great big topic about the importance of your marriage, about valuing your marriage. So let's go back. I want to show you just a couple verses to show how important this is. I can find this share screen again. I didn't put this in here, but it's interesting that in the Old Testament, they took it so seriously that if a man and a woman are caught in adultery, the penalty for them was to be stoned to death. A pretty serious penalty. We obviously don't take it anywhere near that serious today, nor am I advocating that we take it to that degree, but there is nothing wrong with that because God put that in place for a reason. God was trying to build a godly nation, a godly community in Israel when he gave birth to Israel, and he was trying to safeguard the most important thing that society would be built on after their faith in God himself, and that's their family. But Jesus, he takes it a little step further, as he always did with the law. It was always about more than what it looked like right on the surface. He said in Matthew 5, you have heard it said, you shall not commit adultery. But I say to you that everyone who looks at a woman with lustful intent has already committed adultery with her in his heart. We can reverse that. But I say to you that everyone who looks at a man with a lustful intent has already committed adultery with him in her heart. It works both ways. This is not a one-way street. Adultery is a two-way street. It just happens to put it in the context of the man, but it obviously has to do with both. This is so serious that Jesus says, if your right eye causes you to sin, that's looking lustfully, which is an act that can lead to committing adultery. If your right eye causes you to sin, tear it out and throw it away, for it's better for you to lose one of your members than your whole body be thrown into hell. And if your right hand causes you to sin, cut it off, throw it away. It's better for you to lose one of your members than your whole body go into hell. Now, Jesus did not mean that literally. At least I don't believe that he meant that literally. He's speaking what's called hyperbole, in like over-the-top language to try to communicate how serious it is. There is a chain of events that takes place. It starts with something we see. It moves on to what we think about, which moves into lust, which then can end in an act of adultery, which is destructive to marriage, which is destructive to family, which is destructive to the community that God's trying to build. Jesus took it really seriously. Here's the final one, and then we have to end today. Hebrews 13:4, marriage shall be honored by all, and the marriage bed kept pure, for God will judge the adulterer and all the sexually immoral. It should be honored. The marriage relationship should be not just tolerated or like just get through it, or you're just passing the years together. It's something we should value, and it's something we should honor in both our positive actions of what we do to invest in it, and in the negative, not doing things that cause it harm. There's so much more I want to say, but I'm already a minute over. We're going to stop there. We'll come back on Wednesday, and we're going to look at another aspect related to this. But anyway, kind of a heavy one, but hope it's encouraging to you anyway, in some way. And I hope to see you all on Wednesday. Hope you have a good couple days.